This is the weightlifting scoop, the Pan Am recap condition. This is Glenn Pendlay, and we have Travis Cooper and also James Tatum. And we're just going to talk a little bit about what happened at the Pan Ams. I suppose the first significant thing is the travel down there. I personally found it pretty unreasonable. I can understand that may have just been the tickets that they had to buy, but as Travis has explained to me, the Isle of Margarita is a direct 5-hour flight from Atlanta.
Well, Caracas is. Flying to Isle of Margarita is tough to get to, but you can definitely fly from Atlanta to Caracas.
And then it's like a 45-minute flight to the Isle of Margarita from there.
Right.
We, on the other hand, took 3 days, flying to Miami, staying overnight, then flying to Panama City, and then to Caracas, and having to stay overnight again, and then the next day flying to the Isle of Margarita. And that wasn't too pleasant. What do you think, Trav?
Well, luckily I didn't have 2 layovers, but once I got to Miami, I only slept like 2 hours before I flew to Panama, then Caracas the next day. Had 4-hour layovers each time, and then flew to Isle of Margarita. So basically it ended up being 25 hours of travel, and we only slept like 3 hours of that.
Yeah, the killer, I mean, taking 3 days to get there, I mean, obviously, especially James and I, we took an extra day from what you took, but you know, it wasn't like we were on an airplane for all too long, but the crappy thing was we got to Miami at, you know, what time we get to Miami? It was after midnight.
Yeah, I think we got checked into the hotel around 12:30.
So considering we had an 8 a.m. flight the next day, you have to get up and get over to the airport by 6, so that leaves you with, you know, like 3 or 4 hours in bed. And that kind of started things off, and then, you know, basically the same thing happened the second day. It just messes your sleep up, and we arrived at the venue pretty tired and worn out already.
Yeah, I do have to say, though, the 2 hotels that we stayed in on the way there were pretty nice, though. So that made it a little bit more bearable, like good bed. But
yeah, no, we stayed in the Hilton in Miami, and then in Caracas, I think it was
called the Euro Building.
The Euro Building, yeah. It was a pretty nice building. They had a good free breakfast. Like, you know, everything you'd expect, eggs and bacon,
yeah,
you know, being the main things.
It was a very good free breakfast.
Good coffee,
for a hotel.
too.
Yeah, very good coffee.
Yeah, we actually had good coffee the whole trip. So, you know, that was good. But, you know, the resort, I guess, that we stayed at, the kind of place that really looks good in a picture. It really, you know, like the view out of my motel room was or my room at the resort was beautiful. But it's the little things. It's the details, I think. You know, it's you know, we had electricity go off multiple times. When the air conditioner goes off in Venezuela, it's probably a more serious problem than when it goes off in, say, you know, Michigan. You know, the food was pretty good, but there were a couple of disconcerting things about the food. I think the most disconcerting to me was when they had a really, really good looking fish stir fry. All fresh fish and vegetables and whatnot, and they were stir-frying it on one of those big flat hot plates like they have at a Mongolian barbecue or something. And they had a tub of the stir-fry with the raw fish and the vegetables all mixed up in the tub, and then the guy would use a pair of tongs to take the fish out of the tub, put it on the grill, and then he used a different utensil, a little spatula thing, to move it around on the grill till it was fried or till it was cooked. And then when you put your plate up there, he would grab the tongs back out of the raw fish and use those to put them on your plate. And, you know, I mean, you kind of watch that happen, and you're like, you know, the food's good. There's definitely nothing unedible about it except for, is this going to kill me? You know, that's like the only question. Am I going to die of food poisoning or salmonella or something when I eat this?
Well, sometimes you need a little extra help cutting weight.
Yeah, I don't know if you need that much extra help. But, you know, just we later learned that the hotel, the resort, was owned by the government, the Venezuelan government. And I think that explains a lot. It's like, you know, even the U.S. government can't get stuff like that right, you know, except for very, very rarely. But I'd have to say, difficult as this may seem, I do trust the U.S. government more than I trust the Venezuelan government. Maybe not by much, but by enough, And so, a lot of just the little details that you would expect if you were in a U.S. owned motel or resort or something just aren't there. But overall, it was a decent place. One of the biggest frustrating things was internet access, which for no apparent reason went on and off and on and off, a lot more off than on. Sometimes you wait, or I would wait for almost 2 hours to get a simple email or a Facebook message to go through. And then all of a sudden it would work for 5 minutes like you were back in your living room with actual good internet. So it's just very unpredictable.
Well, I didn't intend for this to start out very negative. I'm actually really glad to be home. So we
I can turn anything negative positive, Travis.
Geez, you must be running low on sleep or something. But no, there was tough travel conditions. The hotel wasn't ideal. But you know what? Everybody was in the same situation for the most part. And the hotel was an all-inclusive. It was pretty nice. It had like 4 or 5 pools. The internet was a little not very nice. I was trying to talk to some people back home, and it wasn't that easy to do. But as far as like everything was pretty nice. I'm just excited to be back. I mean, my gosh, being on vacation. It wasn't vacation, but the last 2 days were. But yeah, I mean, it was good to get away. But I'm so happy to be home, sleep in my own bed. Shower in my own shower.
With hot water.
With hot water. And, you know what, I was so paranoid. I got sick in Colombia one year at Junior Worlds. So Jared Fleming and I roomed together, and we were brushing our teeth with bottled water. So to be able to brush my teeth with tap water without being paranoid is awesome. Well,
I brushed my teeth and I even drank some of the tap water, and I can say that it doesn't seem to have hurt me. I didn't get sick. But I will say that it was probably the foulest tasting tap water I've ever tasted in my life. And, I've drank from a faucet in Louisiana before. So that's really saying something.
Good Lord. Well, I wasn't as brave. I didn't drink the tap water. I don't have an immune system that is as good as yours, I don't think. I think Glenn's pretty he'll try anything, and he'll eat anything, and I don't know, for some reason my stomach is a little weak.
Yeah, I think it was all the dirt that I ate as a child. It pretty much prepared me for whatever. James, what did you think about the food?
I thought the food was great. I had chicken and rice every meal, pretty much. I didn't waver much from that. I put a lemon all over the rice and chicken, and I have a rule where I don't eat fish unless I've caught it or I know who caught it. So I wasn't going near the fish.
James, you lived on a friggin' sailboat for half your childhood. I mean, you're probably used to eating some of the, pretty subpar meals, though. I mean, so you were kind of prepared for a monotonous type of a diet.
Well, I mean, I guess so.
Not very many people would eat chicken and rice every meal for a week and say, yeah, the food was great.
Well, I mean, they made the rice a little different each time, and.
Well, I will admit that the taste of the food and the choices available were not bad. They were. It's not like you're eating at a 5-star restaurant at home, but they were pretty good. I mean, they were edible and it was filling and it was nutritious food. It just scared me.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's especially when I saw some of the, what do you call it, hygienic practices or whatever being used. It just scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. Well, I did see one lady. There was spaghetti one night, and somebody spilled most of the spaghetti all over the counter because it was like a buffet. And the lady was using her hands, and she was picking the spaghetti up off the counter and putting it on her plate. And I was like, ooh. That would.
Well, they also would come by and clean off the counter every once in a while and pick up pieces of food and noodles and whatever and just put them back in the serving bowls.
Yeah, that's good food, Glenn.
Yeah. No, I mean, the only thing that is like with the spaghetti sauce and stuff, the only thing that kind of, I don't know. I'm usually a guy that I eat all my leftovers and I don't put food to waste. But what would happen is that, they have a certain type of food one night and then the next night you see that same thing again, but they've just added something to it. Like they had pretty good spaghetti sauce one night and then the next night they put the leftover corn and the leftover sausages, those little round brown sausages.
Yep.
They put that in the spaghetti sauce and served it again. So it was obviously multiple. If they have leftovers, they just kind of combine them and put something new in it and serve it the next day.
Yeah, they definitely.
And that goes on until it's all gone.
Yep.
Which probably keeps the cost down.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I did notice that the beef there. I did have the beef one night, and it was very tough. And I assume that they just went out and slaughtered a cow that was out there.
No, I think it was horse meat.
Horse meat?
Had to be horse meat.
You think so?
I don't really know, James. I'm just joking, kind of. But
I mean, I saw some horses on the side of the road, too. I did see some dogs, too.
Were they dead, the horses?
No, they were alive.
So they're not yet to be butchered.
Yeah, not yet.
No, I don't know if it was horse meat. In some countries they do eat horse, and I have no idea if they do in Venezuela, but
Never had it before.
No, horses. I've had horse before. It's not bad. I think it was in Bulgaria, maybe. But no, I don't know what kind of meat it was. It was brown. It was well cooked. I mean, the type of place is where you don't want to eat your steak rare. You want to eat it thoroughly ruined. By ruined I mean cooked all the way through till it's brown. So, but yeah, the food, it's not a 5-star restaurant, but it wasn't bad. A little scary when you saw some of the practices they used to prepare it. But, nobody got sick and it was pretty good. The one thing that was great, in my opinion, about the venue was the actual lifting venue. I don't really see any way to complain about that. They had the old 1970s, maybe early 80s Alico bars, which, I think everybody knows I'm not a huge fan of the newer designed Alico bars that came out within the last couple of years, but the old ones are good. The old, 1970, early 80s Alico bars are good bars, and all the bars were good. Platforms were great. There was enough platforms in the warm-up room that pretty much every single lifter got to prepare on their own warm-up platform without having to share. That is huge, I think. I think that's just wonderful. The competition platform, even though I didn't get up on that one, everybody reported, as far as I know, that it was a good platform. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it was a different material. I thought it was really cool. I think USA Weightlifting needs to buy one of those.
Yeah, those they do have a real grippy surface. They're great. And the venue was like a basketball stadium. So it was a big dome, big concrete dome. So the ceilings, the top of the dome was, how high was that? There were bats flying around up in the top of it.
Well, I don't know. It was a huge dome, but it did at the bottom they had open air.
Yeah.
So it got air from the outside, but even if it was raining,
and it was fairly cool. I mean, it was hot and humid there, but the inside that dome was pretty comfortable.
Yeah, they kind of cut half of it off. The warm-up was in the back half. The warm-up area was. The front half is where all the spectators sat and watched the stage. So they kind of had a big barrier with a big backdrop on the stage.
Colin Burns was telling me that if we threw baseball or tennis balls or softballs or something at those bats, that they would chase it all the way down to the floor. And I was kind of preoccupied with that while I was watching a couple of the sessions that I didn't coach at. I really wanted some tennis balls to throw at those bats. I thought that would have been great fun. But it's kind of neat to have bats flying around the ceiling. But and the viewing was good. The view had stadium seating like a basketball stadium. I mean everything there really was pretty good. And there were some vendors outside that were selling some pretty tasty food. Which is in somewhere like Venezuela, I mean they're not selling like prepackaged snack food. They've got a big tub of dough, that they probably mixed together that morning or something, and a kettle where they've got boiling oil in. And they just take that dough, pound it out flat, stick some beef or chicken or who the heck knows what it actually was in it, and they fold it over and drop it in the grease for a while, and then pick it out of the grease and serve it to you. And I think $1 US bought like 2 of those, and it was enough that 2 or 3 of them was a pretty damn good meal. So yeah, that was good. They were selling those outside, along with Coca-Colas and other things. They don't have a lot of Diet Coke in Venezuela. I don't like to drink regular Coke. They don't really have the diet stuff, but whatever. It's not a big deal. But past so the venue was great. The resort that we stayed in was great in a lot of ways. It was a little substandard in others. But the thing I thought was probably the worst part of it. Well, 2 things really. Number 1, the ride over. That could be anywhere from 20 minutes to almost an hour, depending on traffic. And it was an unair-conditioned tightly packed, shall we say, most of the time. Way more people in it than are designed to be. Bus.
There's about 27 people in one of them, and
probably designed for 10.
Well, it was designed for 27. It was packed full to the brim, and it was about the size, a little bit bigger than a 16-passenger van here in the U.S. But they were packed in there.
Well, a couple times when I went over, it was totally packed, and then a lot of people were standing in the aisles, so it was a little overcrowded. I'm sure it wasn't that way every time over, but anyway, it wasn't any big deal. But that was kind of a pain. I always like it. I think people tend to lift better, like here in the U.S. when it's in a motel with a conference room, and the meet is set up in a conference room so that you don't actually have to leave the motel to go to the meet. You don't have to leave and travel an hour or anything like that. It's just right there. But obviously that's not going to happen in foreign countries. So it was par for the course. I think the ride over, to us, we're spoiled. We're used to lifting in a hotel conference room. We just have to walk downstairs and lift, But one of the big things is in places like that, you tend to have to walk a lot more than we are used to, probably not more than some of the other South American countries are used to, but you eat outside when you're trying to get on the internet or something like that. The hotel lobby is outdoors, so that you're in the heat, a lot, and there's a fair amount of walking involved from your room over to eat, up to the front, It's just, I think probably during that week, a lot of lifters probably walked 5 times more than they're used to walking in a week. I think that probably has an effect. It's certainly not an excuse because, like Travis said, everyone's in the same conditions. But that's something I just don't think our lifters and people in our country to start with are just not used to walking around outside all day. They're used to being inside more, and they're not used to quite so many, so much time spent walking. So, what do you think about that, Trav?
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and get into James's experience, just because I don't want there to be too much overlap when we talk to James and myself about our experience.
Well, let's get into it then. James, what the hell happened to you?
All right. I think the meet went pretty good. I opened up at 137. I made it. And then I missed 40 twice, one in front and one behind. And I think a little bit of that had to do with my my line of pool being a little bit messed up because at the hotel when we had our training place there, it was at an angle, all the platforms, so like it
was outdoors
away from you.
It was outdoors on a parking lot that was slanted, so that really made trying to train on a slanted surface kind of interesting.
Yeah, so either way, everybody had that same training atmosphere, so I guess I can't really use it as an excuse, but yeah, my snatches were just a little bit forward and a little bit off. I felt strong though. My legs weren't too tired. I made a point not to walk too much, just to try to sit down and relax. So then I got to clean and jerk, and this is kind of funny. I was in the warm-up room, just warming up. I felt pretty good. And I get up to 140 in the warm-up room, and I missed the clean and fell right down on my butt. And then
yeah, you missed it bad.
Oh, yeah, I missed it like it was a max attempt. Like, it wasn't even close. And then I did it again, and I missed it in front. So I was like, oh, boy, this isn't good. And so then all the coaches back there are freaking out, and they're like, oh, my gosh, he can't even clean 140. How's he going to open up at 160? That's just what I assumed that they were thinking. What were you thinking, Glenn?
I wasn't really thinking, oh, no, you can't clean 140, because I've seen you do that, miss a lighter weight for whatever reason and then come back strong with a heavier weight. But Paul did, want to move your opener down to 55, which I thought, well, that's great. Who knows? And the nice thing is you came back and hit 50 as a warm up real strong. And so, kind of erased the 140 and, but it was a little disconcerting as a coach and watching you, because especially when you miss it the first time, I'm like, that's happened before. No big deal. When you miss it the second time, I I'll admit I was a little worried.
Yeah. Well, I think that was perfect, because I think that got me pissed off just enough to go out there and get 155, and 155 felt just like 110 did in the warm up. It was real easy. Then I went out there at 160 and got that one real easy. And then I had to wait around for a good while because they were waiting to see how everybody else did. So my next attempt ended up being 169. But in the warm-up room to stay warm, I actually power clean and jerked 140 twice before I went out there for my last attempt.
And that was the same weight you missed warming up initially, but that's probably the best power cleans I've ever seen you do. I mean, you barely even had to bend your knees to catch them. I mean, it was just boom, boom.
Yeah, no, I felt completely different. I felt good.
Yeah. The dangerous thing about missing warm-ups like that in competitions and training, there's no time limit. You know, you can go back, you can get your head right, you can even start down with a lower weight and work back up. So there's all kinds of time for you to work something like that out. That's obviously just an anomaly. But in competition, I mean, you're up in like 6 minutes, you know, and so you don't really have the freedom to like deal with that miss and whatever. You've got to go compete, you know, and that's what's dangerous about that in competition.
So I went out there at 169 and I made the clean, but then I got a little lightheaded and then I rushed the jerk and I missed it. Kind of did the dip drive a little bit forward, and so that put me in 10th place overall. I think I got 6th in the snatch, and then I have no idea what place I got in clean and jerk, but overall it put me in 10th. So I think it was a good day. I was happy. It was my first international meet. I actually did 1 kilo. My total was 297, and I did 1 kilo better than I did at the American Open this past year. So I think reasonably for the amount of progress that I've made this year. It wasn't that bad of a meet.
Yeah,
but I definitely could have done better.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like you said, it wasn't terrible, but there definitely was another 10 kilos there that you could have hit had you, A, snatch better, and then B, had we not had that anomaly in the warm-up room, and you could have opened with 60 and went 65 and then 69 or 70. And that would have been the difference. It's just the missed 40s and the opener, probably took away more kilos from your total than the snatch did.
Well, you were kind of put in a situation where you had to make that big jump in the clean and jerk to try to up the team points. I don't know exactly the situation.
Well, it was a situation that he would have had to done 169 to move himself up into placement. So anything, I mean, he would have gotten a much better total if he'd have taken 65, and I think he would have made it. But 69 was really what he needed to move up, and so there was no reason to take anything lower than that.
Right. So you definitely could have made something between 60 and 69. So it's not like you optimized your total at 297 that day. Yeah, I mean, 169 was a PR clean. Is that right?
In competition, it was. I've cleaned 171 in training, so still it was pretty close to my best. But it was a good clean, I have to say. I didn't pause at the bottom.
It was certainly one of the easiest cleans of that weight I've ever seen you do.
Yeah.
Maybe the easiest.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about the clean. I was kind of disappointed about that jerk, though. But
yeah, that's a big chunk off your total to miss the jerk. I can understand that.
Yeah, so I mean, even though like 297 wasn't, as much as the 306, if he'd have made that lift, A, it was a PR clean in competition. And then B, if he would have made the jerk, it would have tied his best total in competition ever. So it's kind of hard to look at the numbers afterwards and realize the situation that he was in.
Absolutely, absolutely. What do you think of your competition, Travis?
Well, I mean, for me, I was going to go back and say when I got there, I think the biggest thing that helped me was people had told me this, but everyone used to make fun of me when I was a resident at the OTC because I used to sleep like crazy. And I forgot that Jared Fleming was the other person in USA weightlifting that sleeps like crazy. So we ended up being roommates, which was perfect because the first night we got there, we locked ourselves in the room and slept for like 13 hours.
Yeah, what time did you go in your room?
We got there at like 11, went to sleep by like midnight, and then we woke up at 12:30.
Well, the funny thing is, I was going to go get him up at like 9:30, 9:45 so they could get some breakfast. And then I thought, they might still be sleeping. So then, about 11 or so, I was going to go wake them up so they could check weight and, all this. I was like, well, I might as well let them sleep till lunch. So I finally went in there at 12:30, and I woke them up at 12:30. So they'd had, close to 13 hours of sleep, and they were both in bed, and Jared comes to the door like stumbling out of bed, his eyes blurry. Obviously, I had woken him up from knocking. And I just thought that was funny. 13 hours in there, and they weren't coming up for air.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing that helped me. That travel was rough. We only got like 3 hours of sleep the night before, so we needed that. We needed that to readjust and get back on track. Trained well 2 days out, hit 140, 170 pretty routinely. I did miss one at 140 because the parking lot was uneven that we were training in, but I knew it was a fluke. The weight felt fantastic. We were all sweating our ass off lifting out there. The humidity was crazy. I probably drank like 7 12-ounce bottles of water during training. I think I asked Glenn. He said, you want me to go over there and get a water for you? And I said, yeah, get 4 or 5. And he thought I was joking.
I think I did bring you back 3, actually. But yeah, 4 or 5, I was like, you're not a fish. But did you think that training on the slant actually affected you in the competition, or do you think you got over that pretty quick?
No, not for me. I thought it was fine. I've done a lot of snatches in my life, so to me, it didn't really affect me. And then the day before, I also trained. I woke up a little earlier that day so that I could wake up around the same time that I was going to be competing and slowly inch myself back to that time. And so I slept about 8 hours the day before I competed. And then during training, I went up there about 10 in the morning, hang power snatches up to 120. That exercise really helps my technique. It's kind of an unorthodox thing to do the day before a competition, but I truly believe in the exercise. And I did power clean and jerk up to 120, just lightweight. And I felt good about it. And so the morning I competed, I didn't sleep very well because we got these new neighbors. So these people that moved in next to our room, they were super loud. They had a party the night before, and I only slept like 4 hours, which kind of threw me off. But the 2 days before, I had slept really well, so I was able to get through that, make weight. It's actually the easiest I've ever made weight. I think the reason for that is because the food, there was a lot of vegetables, so I would eat a lot of vegetables and just a little bit of meat each meal, and the humidity was very high. So my body does really well in heat, and I love it. A lot of people hated that, but I love it because I got my weight down, and I tend to have to cut a couple kilos before a competition, so I didn't think it was a bad thing for me.
Yeah, you've said before that, having to go in the sauna for 20 minutes or something a couple hours before competition actually does you good because it gets your body awake, running fast, all those things.
Yeah, I hit all my PRs in the summer. My body likes the heat. During the winter, I feel like crap, and I have trouble keeping my internal core temperature up. But yeah, I mean, as far as the competition, made weight, ate breakfast, and then we were on that bus ride over to the competition that takes like 40 minutes. It's a freaking Green Mile sitting there, like, just thinking about the whole thing, really worried about my opener, just just thinking about everything, which is a good thing because the butterflies start coming. And when the butterflies hit, that's when I actually get more confident because it means I care about the competition and I'm actually, like, fresh. If I'm overtrained going into a competition, I don't get nervous and I don't care about it. And it's hard to explain that, but as far as the lifting goes, like, Glenn was counting, so he knows why we took certain attempts. But I opened with 145. We wanted to be pretty conservative on the opener. I had snatched 155 the week before, but I never opened above 142 at a competition. So we decided, 3 kilos higher than I'd ever opened in a competition. That's a safe opener. This is international meet, so if I were to miss it, not only am I letting myself and Team MDUSA down, I'd be letting Team USA down as well.
The other thing about Travis's attempts and everything was that, I think we knew, or at least I figured, I think Travis knew too, that first and second place might be a little out of reach. Those guys were opening high enough that Travis would have had to have the day of all days to compete with them. And on the other hand, he could have readily made third place if he just lifted well. And so, considering the conditions and the fact that, he had made his PR snatch with straps, and this was obviously a competition, so no straps. That does affect Travis a little. And all those other things, I felt like he would be good for a big clean and jerk if he needed it. So really the attempts were in my way of thinking, I wanted to assure third place with the least amount of risk possible. There's no reason to open high, take bigger jumps, trying to go after a first place finish that really wasn't going to be there. The Cuban lifter in his weight class totaled 360. That's a little beyond Travis's reach. So, to try to be as safe as possible and get that medal, which a medal at Pan Ams is a big thing. Not too many U.S. lifters have won medals. Chad Vaughn has, Kendrick has. Kendrick, I believe, got second. I don't think he's won it. Chad Vaughn has won it. But Casey Bergener has won it, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good group to be in. It's not easy to get a medal at Pan Ams, and Travis definitely had the chance to, and it was just something that we wanted to be really safe about and make sure we got that medal.
So I went out there on the platform. 145 was super light as expected. The plan was to go to 150 and then 152. However, there was 15 lifters between me and 150. So I was 15 attempts out. And so we were sitting back there for about 3 or 4 attempts, and I said, "Hey, Glenn and Paul Doherty was the head men's coach, and I asked them, I said, "Hey, what about 149? Is there less of a weight for that?" And they said, "Yeah, that's about 6 out." So I said, "Hey, let's take 149. Be safe. I think I won't have to take a warm up before that lift, and that's also technically a PR meet snatch for me." So I thought it was a reasonable snatch to take on a second attempt. And so I went out there after 6 attempts and made that one pretty easily as well. And that still left me with 9 attempts to take 150 after that.
Yeah, so we actually went for 151. But the weight and all of that, and the 149 had already put him in where he needed to be to get that bronze medal. And I'm not going to say that it wasn't an important lift. I mean, obviously you want to put everything you have into every lift, but me as a coach, I felt pretty secure with the 149 that Travis would be able to clean and jerk his way to a bronze after making that lift. That was the one that I felt was really important, because a 145 wouldn't have added up to a bronze very easily. That would have required a Herculean effort in the clean and jerk and a lift that just might not have gone. But with 149, I felt like he was in the driver's seat.
Yeah, so the other U.S. lifter that was in the weight class, Colin Burns, he snatched 150, which was his opening weight, and he missed his first 2, but made his third one, and that was actually a bronze medal in the snatch, which, I mean, obviously would have been great if I would have made 151 to get 3 bronze medals. But, Team USA already had the bronze medal in snatch. So in order to have a chance at second, I needed at least 151. I mean, I probably needed more, but just based on what those guys were opening with, we were trying to squeeze out every kilo possible.
So the 151, when you did take it, you missed it. But on the clean and jerk, I thought you clean and jerked well, and that your first 2 attempts, which were 82 and 87.
83 and 87.
83 and 87. Again, with the 83, Travis had initially wanted to open at 85, but I was like, 83 is going to be out of reach, give you a total that's out of reach of everyone except for one lifter.
So that 100% secured 4th place, so that's why we opened at 183. Yeah. And then 187.
I thought, I can't remember what country it was, from Venezuela.
The guy who was going for 3rd, I think so.
Venezuela, he attempted, I think we had Travis at 185 or 186 for his second attempt. The Venezuelan lifter, the other one that was really going for 3rd place, that was really a threat for 3rd place, tried 185 and missed it. Missed it from what looked to me fairly badly. I thought he might come back and make that weight, maybe, but probably not. I certainly didn't anticipate him adding any weight to the bar and making it. So based on that, the 183 was what he needed to beat that lifter in case he did come back and make that weight, and that pretty much sewed up 3rd place. And so Travis took that, made it. Then we had a little scare. We bumped Travis to 191 at that point. Go for a PR clean and jerk. We then had a little scare because that guy bumped his weight up to 90, and that would have beaten Travis for third place. And believe it or not, he cleaned it and then missed the jerk, but he came awfully close on that jerk. So, that wasn't expected. But after that, Travis knew that he had third place sewed up. It was over with. And then when he went out to take the 191, the funny thing is, he cleaned it like a champ. I mean, he killed the clean. And then on the jerk, he locked it out. And then right after he locked it out, he just moved his hips backward just a little bit and got out of balance, and it came down in front of him. I still think if he would have needed that for third place, he probably would have held on to it. But, it was one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly really happy with how I did. A total of 336. That ties my best meet PR. That ties what I did to qualify. I got the bronze medal. Even if I had had the day of my life, probably would have still got third. So I did about as good as I could have done in terms of placement. Obviously, with hitting a 350 in training, I would have loved to have hit a little more. And Donovan Ford passed me up in the ranking. He's now the number one lifter, and so it would have been nice to make that last clean jerk and keep that keep the number one ranking. But hey, I'm going to nationals, so hopefully I can do something there.
Absolutely. I thought overall that covers James and Travis, but I thought overall Team USA on the men's side got 6 medals. That's more than we've got in quite a few years. We did have, lots of people have had a great sport out of pointing out that we had a lot of missed openers, and that is true. But we still did well as a team. We brought home a good medal count. And I, for one, you always hate to say you're happy because you could have done better, and you always could have done better. But I think objectively, we did an okay job.
Well, I mean, look, Team MDUSA has, 10 lifters. I mean, in the past 3 or 4 meets, we've taken probably 8 lifters. I mean, you take a team of that size, you're going to have 2 or 3 people who do great, 2 or 3 people who do really shitty, and two or 3 people in the middle. I mean, you're never going to take 10 lifters to a meet, 15, 8 for the men and 7 for the women, and have everyone kill it. I mean, it's just not going to happen. The odds aren't for you. So some people are going to have great performances. Some people are going to, have factors that cause them to not do as well. It's just the name of the game. So there's a lot of critics, but there's a lot that goes into it that they don't know about.
Yeah, there's always, usually, I wouldn't say always, but it's normally the people who have not taken lifters to international competition or not taken a team to international competition that, are the most vocal critics to say, why didn't this lifter do good? Why did this lifter miss an open? Or things happen. And Travis is exactly on point with saying you get 10 lifters together, a couple's going to do great, a couple are going to do shitty, and a lot of other ones are going to be in the middle. It's just not going to be a PR exceptional day for every single lifter. And that's what we saw at Pan Ams. We saw a couple lifters do really good. I think Donovan Ford probably had the number one performance on the men's side, 5 for 6 with PR snatch, PR total. Had a hell of a day, and we had 2 bomb outs. So Jared Fleming tore a callus really bad in warm ups and ended up bombing out. Those things you certainly don't want them to happen. You don't hope for them to happen, but they are going to happen from time to time.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as the rest of the team goes, I guess Colin Burns, like I said, got bronze in the snatch.
And just to stick in real quick, that was his first ever international meet, and he won a medal.
Yeah, so that's great. I mean, one thing that I was kind of thinking about is it was great to have him on the team because he's a great snatcher, and even though he didn't do great, he was able to win a medal, and that's something they don't really look at when they're choosing teams. I think me and Colin kind of balance each other out. I have a better chance of medaling in the clean jerk. He has a better chance of medaling in the snatch as of right now. So I think having both of us in a weight class with Kendrick not there is a great balance. It gives us a good chance to win both sides of the medals.
Yeah, good point.
And as far as like the 94s go, John got 4th, kind of tweaked his elbow in the snatch. So they had to open him a little light in the clean jerk to make sure we got team points. After Jared bombed out, we couldn't afford to drop another total. We need to make sure we get a full team for the Pan Am games. And like he said, Jared tore a callus in the snatch, kind of like a butterfly effect type thing. If that doesn't happen, who knows? He's in crazy shape. He might have done amazing, but that one little thing changes all of all of destiny, So it's interesting.
Yeah, and David Garcia's been lifting like crazy lately. He's totaled really well at a couple meets, but he bombed on the clean and jerk. And I don't know really, is there any reason for that other than he just had a bad day on the clean and jerk?
Yeah. But Donovan, like you say, he has the MVP. Donovan hit 170 in the snatch, which is an all-time PR. He's never done that in training, competition, anything. And, Wes Barnett's considered the greatest American 105 of all time. And he was an awesome clean jerker, but his best snatch ever was 170.
Jared's going to have that American record soon, I would suspect.
Jared or Donovan?
Donovan, sorry. Yeah, Donovan. He should have that because that 170 was nice and smooth and there was room.
Yeah, I think he can do 173. The record's by Pete Kelly right now, 172.5. And that was kind of like a moment created because Casey Bergner, like 5 minutes before that, hit 171. So it was kind of like an out of the ordinary lift for him. And I think Donovan's got that. He did great. He clean jerked very good. Got 201, secured the bronze. And then he cleaned 208, super easy. He had to make a big jump to go for second and misses the jerk. But, 208 clean.
That was similar to your missed jerk, and then the dip and drive was good. Caught it on locked arms, looked to be in good position for a second, and then got out of whack and dropped it.
Yeah.
It was close.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, 371 total. That's a heck of a total. So right now he's the number 1 ranked lifter. Secured a spot on the world team, and I think he's going to skip nationals and just train for worlds, which is probably the right decision.
Yeah, and we had Shane Mayer.
Yeah, Shane did good.
Who clean and jerk 213.
Yeah, that was a meet PR for him.
It was interesting that it got red lighted. And then the jury overturned the decision. So he had a couple of moments. He had 2 or 3 minutes thinking it was a bad lift, and then the jury came out and overturned the referee's decision, giving the lift to him. So that was kind of a moment of drama there. But it was a heck of an effort.
Yeah. So on the women's side, we got a couple people. Allie Henry got second place in the snatch. She's a great snatcher. Actually beat out Jenny Arthur for the silver medal in the snatch with 98 kilos in the 69 weight class. Jenny got third in the snatch, I believe, and second overall in the 69 kilo class. So she got a silver medal. And then Sarah Robles won the whole thing, gold medal.
Missed her 2 opening snatches and then came back from 2 misses to go make the 4 next lifts in a row to win the gold.
I know. I was talking to her coach, Joe Machella, and I said she was giving you a heart attack, huh? I mean, she was 1 lift away from bombing out. And then of course Sarah's a great lifter, and she actually went 3 for 3 in the clean and jerk after that. But scary moment, she could have went from first to last.
Yeah, I believe her clean and jerk 146 tied her PR, so it wasn't like she was lifting subpar on the clean and jerk. She certainly went after it.
Yeah, coming off the Olympics too, so it's hard to hold that intensity up year round every year. So yeah, that's the rest of the team. I mean, one thing about these trips is it's kind of almost like summer camp. You bond with everyone, and you don't really know these guys. You kind of have a rivalry with some of them because you're trying to outrank them all year. I'm competing with Colin Burns in my weight class. You don't really know these guys very well, and then you go to the meet and you realize that everyone's really nice, and it was a lot of fun to hang out with them and get to know them.
Yeah, I would agree. The travel, I guess I'm getting old or something. The travel affects me more than it used to, and I'm tired, and I come home and I'm like, tired and feel pretty subpar for 3 or 4 days afterwards. But yeah, it is one nice thing. Travis, exactly right. Getting to know some of our teammates on Team USA that are, scattered across the country. It's a real high point of trips like these.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great time. That's my first senior international competition. I had made the 2009 Pan Ams. That was in Chicago, but I was hurt and couldn't compete, and so it's been a long time since then, and I was ready to make one, and I've been on a lot of junior trips, but yeah, it was good to get to know everyone. I kind of was out of the loop a little bit, and I don't know all these guys. Some of them are younger, some of them are older than me, not really the same generation of lifters as I am, so... you got any funny stories, Glenn?
Yeah, I do. One of them concerning Zygmunt. He's a funny guy, man. That guy is a great guy. I hope he's the U.S. National team coach for a while. I hope he sticks around. But we were in the Panama City airport, and we had a atrocious layover, like 5 hours coming home. And we were looking around, and first thing that happens, I like watches, and I can't really afford to buy any expensive watches, but I like looking at them. And Zygmunt and I were walking around to all the stores. Panama City Airport's a pretty dang big airport, and it's a lot of stores and everything, a lot of duty-free shops and all that. And I heard a rumor that they were expanding, and they're expecting it within the next 4 or 5 years to be over 20 million passengers a year. That would put it the busiest airport in the world. But as it is right now, it's a pretty big, busy airport. And so we're looking at these watches, and we're looking at Omegas and Rolex and Breitling and whatever. And I kept showing Zygmunt the prices, and he would just, oh my God, oh my gosh. And then he saw the watch that I have in one of the cases, and he says, look, there's your watch, whatever. He was real excited about that. And so I guess he must have been feeling like inadequate or something. I don't know, because then he holds up his watch to show me. And, it's one of those little plastic watches, it's like blue plastic. It just reminds me of one of those like little commemorative watches you'd buy at some, tourist attraction or something. It's just a little blue plastic watch, but I think he got it from like the 1992 Olympics or something like that. And so, we were looking at all these like $10,000 watches, and Precy holds his up and he says, see, mine's limited edition. It's a limited edition. And he was really proud of it. And I'm not down talking about him or his, anything like that. It was just so funny. He wanted to be very sure that I knew his watch was a limited edition. But, I thought that was pretty hilarious, but then we went into a liquor store, and he had told me that he had to buy some liquor because a friend back home in Colorado had wanted him to bring back some liquor from South America, and I believe it even maybe giving him a couple bucks to bring him back something unusual, So as we go into the store, there's a little tasting place where they're giving out samples of this Puerto Rican rum. And I had never seen this stuff before. I'd never seen it in a liquor store. It was something totally new. And, so Zygmunt and I each, took a little, they give you about, a tenth of an ounce in a little paper cup, and Zygmunt had his little sample and I had mine. And I was like, man, that shit's good. It was some quality stuff, it was some real quality stuff. And I was like, Zygmunt, why don't you just get this? It's not available in the U.S., or at least I've never seen it. Your friend will think this is pretty awesome. And, it was aged like 40 years or something. I don't know. But, so we're like, how much? And the lady looks, she says $40 for a bottle. Which is like a normal sized liquor bottle, like a 750 milliliter bottle or something like that. And I guess I didn't think that was too awfully bad for some really, top shelf liquor. And Zygmunt saw that $40. She's like, oh my God, it's not even extra large bottle. He's like, it's like, oh no, it's too much. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Just pick out something you want. So he walks over to another shelf and he picks up a bottle of Johnny Walker. And he's like, oh, this is much better. And I said, no, you can't buy a commemorative bottle of liquor from South America and have it be the same thing you can buy in any liquor store and half the grocery stores all over the U.S.
Yeah, you get a souvenir, you want it to be specific to where you're traveling.
Exactly. So then he says, it's not good. And I'm like, no, that's no good. So he walks over and he picks up some, like, I think it's called Tanqueray gin or something. And again, I was like, Zygmunt, you can buy that in the U.S., get something. So I asked the sales lady, do you have anything that's like made in Panama that is like special, like we couldn't buy it in the U.S.? And she's like, oh, sure. She shows us over to this rack, and it's Panamanian whiskey, I guess, whatever. And there's three types. One's like aged 20 years, and it's like $20 a bottle. One's aged like 12 years, and it's like $15 a bottle. And the other down on the bottom shelf is aged 7 years, and it's like $7 a bottle. And so I'm like, here, Zygmunt, buy this. You can't buy it in the U.S. Your friend will think it's cooler than hell, So he looks at the one on the top, He's like, $20. He puts his hands up on the sides of his head like his ears. Like, oh my God, it's too much. So then he looks at the second one, and it's $15. He says, oh, it's not good. It's not even big bottle. It's a normal size bottle. And so then he looks at the bottom one, the age 7 years, and it's $7. And he picks, oh yeah, this is the one. So we talked for a minute. I'm like, Zygmunt, you can't get the cheapest one for $7. My God, spend a little bit, and buy the middle one at least. It's $15. So I talked him into buying the $15 bottle of booze rather than the $7 bottle of booze, and so we bought that and headed out. And that's my funny story.
Yeah, I guess liquor must be cheap over in Poland or something like that.
Probably so. I don't know. And didn't he set you up with a Polish weightlifting chick?
Oh no! I asked him. I said, "Hey Zygmunt, can you hook me up with a Polish woman?" My roommate in college was Polish, and I was really just kidding with Zygmunt because if you ask him funny questions, he has a really funny accent, and so anyways,
says, come on, guy.
Yeah, he's always like, come on, guy. But yeah, I was just seeing what he said because John was asking him like 20Q, just like the most ridiculous questions, like, does Kalecki watch my weightlifting videos? and he was asking, I don't even know what other weightlifters, but I was just trying to come up with some ridiculous things. He asked him
if Ilya Lin had 2 wives.
Yeah.
Something, I don't know.
But yeah, no, we had a great time. Zygmunt's a good guy, and he's really
yeah.
good.
Oh yeah, he is. I like I said in the start, I hope he's our national team coach for a long time. I think he's a heck of a coach and a very, very easy guy to get along with, and funny and personable, and all those things.
Yeah. So we're doing a philanthropy as like through the weightlifting scoop on the weightlifting team. It's called Rice Bowls. So you can check that out online. I think it's ricebowls.org. We've been saying .com, but I'm pretty sure it's ricebowls.org. And it's a good cause. So if you'd be interested in helping out, email us at theweightliftingscoop@gmail.com. Basically, the rundown, you can check out their beliefs on ricebowls.com. But the rundown of the philanthropy is that they use the money to feed hungry children in several different places that basically like poor areas. And they set up schools in those areas as well and teach them math and science, as well as it's a Christian group, so they also teach them, they go through Bible studies with the kids as well. So I personally think it's a great cause all around. And like I said, contact us if you're interested.
Yeah, we have, as well as the weightlifters here, we have a lot of the other employees of MuscleDriver.com or Muscle Driver USA. And, it's a pretty, I'm sure you can donate other ways, but they give you little bowls that have like a piggy banks that don't come apart, and you just stick your change in it all month long, and then somebody collects the bowls and puts them through a coin changer, and then sends in the money. But it's a neat deal and a good organization and things like that. So yeah, it would be great if anyone else wanted to get involved in that.
Yeah, and basically, if you fill up one rice bowl, it feeds a kid for a month, which is a big deal. It doesn't really take that much money. They buy food that's reasonably nutritious and for an entire month. Aside from that, we're training for nationals next. And how are you feeling about nationals, James?
I feel pretty good about nationals. Coach has got me doing a bunch of squats, so I'm having trouble walking around because I'm so sore, but I think it'll help out. Going to really try to up my world team total, get a little better at that. Hopefully I'll make the list. I'm pretty sure that Travis has got a pretty good total to stay on the team, so hopefully I'll be going over to Poland with him. See this Polish girl that Zygmunt sets up for him.
Yeah, that's going to be the big attraction. That's the number one reason everybody wants to make the world team.
Oh yeah, it's good to
see who Zygmunt sets Travis up with.
Oh man, that was a joke.
Oh, I know. Everybody knows it was a joke.
But anyways, yeah. I mean, basically we don't have that much time before nationals. I mean, we only have like 2 or 3 training weeks. Is that right?
Yeah, 2.5 now, I guess, because the week's half over here. So we got to get cracking.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, that travel on the way back killed me. We had 4 flights over the course of like 35 hours on the way back, and my back has just been killing me. So, geez, I mean, I'm just trying to get back on the saddle and like just hit decent weights. I did 120 for a double in the snatch today, and I felt like my body was gonna break in half.
Hopefully, we will get past that soon.
If I'm only going to be able to open at 130, I'm not going. But no, I think I'll be good to go. It's just going to take me another week to recover. But yeah, check us out on let's see, the weightlifting scoop at gmail.com. Send us your questions. Check us out on Twitter at WLiftingScoop. You just search the Weightlifting Scoop on Twitter. Interact with us. We have some funny stuff up there, some serious stuff. And you can ask us questions on there, and we'll answer them on this podcast. And dozerstrength.com is my blog. And James?
JamesTatumUSA.com.